record. We are going live in 5, 4, 3, 2. We're live.
Good morning, Owasso. This is the Twins with Owasso Live, and this is the Morning Loop. It is currently 8 a.m. like normal. It is, oh man, I didn't have my weather app pulled up here. It is currently 44 degrees outside with a high of about 76 today, so it's going to be nice. It doesn't appear to be like it's going to be windy like yesterday, thank goodness. Maybe you'll be able to actually shoot your bow and actually hit targets for once in your life.
Well, I know you're not talking about me.
But yeah, so it's gonna be nice today. So probably just long t-shirt weather, or even very light jacket weather. So enjoy this this weather. Get home, spend time with your family and friends after work. It's gonna be good weather for that. Traffic conditions going into Tulsa are really fair. So there's really no congestion points. Even 76th Street on ramp, there's nothing real. There's no real issues being caused. So your commute into Tulsa should be a-okay. So enjoy that. So we have a special guest here in the studio with us today. It's actually one of my longest, oldest friends from high school, and he's moving back here from a really crappy state called Illinois. Now, I will say this. Illinois is actually a good state. It's just there's a couple of metropolitan areas that suck.
No, don't lie. It's not.
That's true.
Top three worst. It's right in there with California and New York.
Hey,
and
as I've told you and everybody else before on this show, there are no blue states. There are only red states with blue cities.
I mean, honestly, everybody from the area I live to would be upset I'm saying that, but it is true. It's a very conservative area, but in general, Cook County accounts for all the political votes, so therefore what you said it is
absolutely true.
Yeah, so
the cities control everything, man.
Exactly. I call it Gotham. Chicago's Gotham, man. Let's get real.
That's true, man. They need a dark night
have you
in
seen
there.
The mayor, she looks like Beetlejuice. Like her hairline starts in the back of her head, her eyes are popping out, and there's more crime going on there. I'm like, good grief, Bruce Wayne needs to come back.
That's true, man. So what brings you back here? What are you specifically back here in Tulsa for?
So as you guys know, I've been selling cars for the last 7 years. So I've got good salesmanship as a craft.
Hold on. You tell me you in the business of selling cars?
I'm in the business of selling cars. Well, I was, and thankfully I'm not anymore. I've got nothing bad to say about it because I've met my wife through selling cars, and I've had a baby recently. Bought my first home. All the good things have happened to me in life through selling cars. But I'm back here because I accepted a head sales manager position at a sporting goods store that's opening in, I wouldn't say downtown, more like West Tulsa, like Broken Arrow area.
Woodland Hills Mall area.
Yeah.
So it's the big department store being built next to Woodland Hills.
It's called Shields. It's a big 240,000 square foot, $130 million project going on. And I'm the head sales manager of the outdoor department and archery specialist specifically. Living up in Illinois, Illinois is one of the good things about Illinois. I'll brag on you here. Is it's got phenomenal whitetail hunting. It is one of the top 3 states in the country for whitetail hunting. So I developed a great passion for bow hunting, and which has led me into chasing a job that I'm extremely passionate about and being a head sales manager of an outdoor department. So that's kind of what brought me back here. My wife will be teaching at Broken Arrow High School. She's a teacher of 8 years now, so it's worked out great. We're in the process of selling our home and then hopefully trying to find something here, whether it be renting real quick or buying a home. But yeah,
that's awesome. Yeah. So get ready to go check out that giant Shields, right?
It's Shields. Yeah, Shields is what it's called. I also, which I'm gonna have one of the boys on here with me too. I also started a YouTube channel called Cold Beers and Whitetails, where I publish a video once a week about kind of, bow hunting material, whether it be anything from gear to scouting objectives or anything like that. And then I publish shorts and content like that. Also, Corey and I did a show several years back, 7-8 years ago now, or about 7 years ago, where we did a sports show called A&W Athletics. We're getting ready to start that back up again too, and we're going to be pretty consistent I would say at the least once a week. That's what our goal is, probably to be doing on the sports show once a week. If we can do it more, great, but that's what I know we'll commit to, doing one show a week, and then if we can get more in, great.
Speaking of sports shows, Chad, when are the Thunder playing? What's going on there?
Oh, yeah.
1 second. I'm pulling.
You mean to tell me you're not ready? How unprofessional are you?
I got it, Chad. They play tonight at 7. They play the Bucks, and this is our second to last game. and we play, like I said, played Bucks without Giannis, as most people know him as the Greek Freak. Does kind of sound like a stage name, if you know what I'm saying.
Yep. Who's he performing for?
He sounds like a Chippendale, if you know what I mean. No, we play them tonight, and then we got another game after that. It's playoff time. We're the third in the West. They're the second in the East, so it's a battle of the, I wouldn't say the tops of each division, but the top tiers, and it would be good. Both teams have clinched playoff berths, so I don't know how much you'll see each other diving on the floor, just because. I mean,
they're saving themselves for that playoff.
I mean, you're 2 games away from playing for everything, so I mean, they may get after it only in the sense that if things get chippy, that's where they'll evolve. But there's nothing on the line. They're both in different divisions, and there's no. I don't think there's a Greek Freak tonight. I was telling Corey yesterday he had a non-contact injury. If anybody watches the NBA out there, the other day he was running down the floor. I mean, he was in the backcourt running down the floor and just grabbed the back of his leg and fell down. It was like there was a Texas bell tower sniper in the building.
Boom, got him. But yeah, no. So here's
your channel showing in the.
Oh, do you? Okay,
right now,
nice.
anyway,
Yeah,
so.
Perfect.
Nice.
So here's my question to you: whenever we were talking OKC Thunder back in the day, back when we were doing A&W, we know, and what conversations that revolved around, we did not have the bench health. We did not have the bench strength to perform at the end of the season. It was just like, well, put Russ in and we'll just dog him out until the end of the game. Do we have the bench help this year within the OKC?
Well, that's the only way to answer that question is to roll into the playoffs and actually put them in situations where, I guess, to answer your question and being concise, I don't know yet until the ball rolls out there. But because in the regular season, you're not I call it redlining, like in a car. I mean, you're not redlining your system. So until you redline it over and over and over, you don't really know what you got in the tank or how big your or how big a gas tank you got. So it's hard for me to sit here definitively and say, yeah, we got it. We got this one, just because we do have some more depth compared to then. And we do have more depth, don't get me wrong. And it's spread out. It's got more parity amongst, that's probably the best word. There's more parity amongst the scoring. So it's not necessarily the rush show. You got a couple guys, Shea Gilgeous-Alexander. I mean, you got a couple guys that can come at you different ways that before you know it, 2 or 3 guys can hang 20 or 30 on you instead of one guy dropping quite literally 50 or 60 points every night. And if that one trick pony doesn't show up, which I'm glad we're not in that position anymore.
Or you just double team him.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So, and God forbid that guy have an off night, because that happens.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So we're not in that position now. I mean, but until you make a run at it, you don't know what you got in the tank.
Yep.
It's just you don't know.
I agree. It's like it's all horseshoes and hand grenades until you get out there on the court and
it's all ifs and buts.
Yep. Ifs and buts for candy.
I'll stop it right there.
That's right. So moving on to our next subject. So we're going to do a real quick recap of what we talked about yesterday. We're talking about the Philly mass shooting. Okay. So I'd like to point out a couple of factors that kind of make what constitutes a mass shooting. So a mass shooting, or according to the left, or according to all the data that all these people aggregate, a mass shooting consists of 3 people getting shot. Not dying, just getting shot. So if 3 people are injured in a shooting, that is a mass shooting. Doesn't really seem like a mass. When you think of mass shooting, you think of like a school shooting.
Big casualties.
Yeah.
Big casualties.
So that's what, whenever people throw out, we had 100 million mass shootings last year. It's like, oh, you mean like we had more than 3 people were injured in a shooting? I mean, that makes every gang shooting a mass shooting.
Oh yeah.
That makes maybe an accidental discharge where you have 3 people sitting in a car together. Somebody pops one off, and the bullet happens to go through all 3 of them. That's a mass shooting.
Yeah.
And then you don't want to talk about the school issue that we have, or school shootings.
Yeah. So and school shootings, and those statistics are wildly
broad.
sophisticated. So a school shooting. So let's say I had a really bad day, and I just want to go somewhere and end my life. I just go and sit, and I park in a school parking lot after hours. Nobody's there. It's 3 a.m. And I just go, bang, school shooting. That counts as a school shooting because it happened on school property.
Well, even another one there was a police academy that had an accidental discharge, and because it was considered a school,
Oh my
that got
gosh.
counted
See?
as a school as well.
Yeah, and I'm wondering, do you think they count military-based schoolhouses as like accidental discharges too? Do you think they'll count that? I would hope that would be a separate category.
Hope not, but you never know. It's like broad category that they can include anything that's a school shooting is ridiculous.
This kind of sounds like back in, I'm switching gears here a little bit, but it sounds like back in the COVID days where anybody who died in a hospital from the year of 2019 to early 2021, COVID death.
Yeah.
I'm like, hold on now, but they didn't die from
Yeah,
COVID.
he was
Of
decapitated.
COVID.
He was
or with-
decapitated.
Right.
He was decapitated in a motorcycle accident, but he tested positive for COVID too.
It kind of sounds like that. That's all I was, I mean.
So, yeah, no, exactly. But that's the thing. Like, this is how the media manipulates statistics, and they casually just throw these numbers around like they're authoritative numbers, and you're just like, when you look into the numbers, like, what? How could you possibly count a suicide at 3 a.m. at a school as a mass shooting?
Pad and stats.
Pad and stats, baby.
Pad and
He's
stats.
looking good, yeah.
Well, it's just
LeBron looks great on paper.
Yeah. I mean, in a series where they are just pads and to objectify their agenda, basically.
Absolutely.
That's what it is.
But to the extent of what we were talking about is there's nothing new on this. They have not showed any of the arrested people, and it appears that it says two rival groups is the newest information that I can find on it.
Again, this is that mass shooting in Philadelphia. It happened during the end of the Ramadan festival for a Muslim church or something, and it was just gang related. So again, the media doesn't care about anything gang related. If it's gang related, so the reason the media put, like, whenever I logged on 2 days ago and was like, and I get on Edge and it goes, mass shooting happening in Philly right now, watch live footage. I'm sitting there and I'm going, okay, cool. Well, I'll find out more about this tomorrow. Again, couldn't find anything else about it. And why? Because I guarantee the media was like, oh, I hope it's a white person who's going there to kill a bunch of Muslims. And you're just like, and then it comes out, nope, just a gang shooting, out of the news. It's not even talked about. They're not showing the list of the suspects. All we know is that 5 people were arrested. 4 of them are minors. And I say minors, they're 17. And then you have 1 who's above the age of 18. Gang related. And a couple of them were girls, too. So now you got girls getting in there involved in shootings in Philly. So again, you're not going to hear any more about this other than what we've said here on this show. You can probably find a couple, like I know Tim Pool was talking a little bit about it, but the only reason he was talking about it is because the media, again, hopped on it for 2 seconds, and they're like, oh, not a white person, doesn't fit the bill, we're pushing on. This is not going to be cycled through the media anymore.
Which is, going back to national media, I mean, which is, I'm saying nothing of no surprise here. Over the past course of, I don't know, the better part of half of a decade, they've lost quite a bit of respect there in that regard because of how much multi-million-dollar conglomerates are behind pushing these agendas, and the people reporting them don't have the ability to speak freely, which is why independent outlets like hopefully your guys' takes off or whoever should be able to take off because they can publicize the truth without having to report to anybody or have anybody behind them saying don't do this or don't do that. So, I mean, these are perfect examples of why you can't be thorough or why we don't get a thorough report of things. And it's not necessarily the broadcaster reporting it. It's maybe everybody behind them and who they represent as a company.
Well, that's one of the jokes. Have you ever heard the joke? It goes, so what job can you be wrong like 90% of the time? It's media.
Yeah.
News journalism, you can be wrong like 90% of the time and still keep your job. No other job in the world would let you do that.
So this incident, all it's going to do is pad the stats. It's going to pad the mass shooting stats, and that's all. Like that, this is going to go unreported. It's going to go into the statistics so they can say, this is how many mass shootings we've had this year so far, and they're not going to give any context to it. So pushing on to and continuing with the trusting journalism.
Yeah.
So a guy named Yuri Berliner, who is a head or top editor at NPR, has decided to leave the company because journalism is basically dead there. Journalism's been dead for a while. I mean, since Trump started running for office, journalism took a dive. It's all partisan narrative pushing bullcrap.
Fake news.
Fake news.
I had to say that. I just love in the Donald Trump voice.
The media are the enemy of the people.
I'm not talking to you. You CNN. It's fake news.
Mm-hmm. So this guy Yuri Berliner has quit because he said when he originally joined there and signed up, they had a journalistic curiosity about them. They actually cared about the truth. Since 2016, that has not been the case. They've only hired Democrats. He goes, I don't know a single Republican that works at this outlet. So if you think NPR used to be like what everyone in college would throw in your face and be like, they're biased, they're good reporters there. Well, since 2016, that's not the case. And even Donald Trump made a tweet not too long ago saying we should defund and stop funding,
Yeah, I've got that
journalist
article pulled up
organizations.
right now.
So, yeah, this is on Scare News. This is Tim Pool's funded media organization. So, it's just crazy that, NPR can no longer be thrown in our face as a biased and respectable news outlet. And, it's sad, but it also makes me mad because, at the end of the day, we were always eventually, just wait long enough. Conservatives who say media is not biased, media has always been partisan, just wait a couple of years and you'll find out that we were all right.
No, yeah.
But the problem is we're trying to save the culture, but we can't because we're getting made fun of in the media all the time. Like I said, this is why Jon Stewart is a horrible thing to happen to journalism. I mean, he's not really a journalist because I'm a comedian, but he can present the news in a funny and fun way, ridicule his political opponents, and then whenever he's wrong, he'll just go, I'm just a comedian. I'm just a comedian. It's just a joke. Why would you take me seriously? But again, Jon Stewart informed and helped me build my political views as a young, impressionable teenager. And I was like, well, if Jon Stewart says it, it's got to be right because he's funny and everyone laughs and claps with him in the show.
The problem with that, joking. Anybody who's got a platform as big as his and a guy who makes how should I say, in the moment condescending jokes about remarks that are probably pretty serious culturally at the time, is that, like you said, and I just found myself, I also grew up in a football locker room in several different sports, and I've been in these situations when you deal with people like this. It's like, oh, I'm just joking. It's like, cool, you know where that leads to, though, right? You know where this guy, I'll whoop your tail. You can keep joking around all that, and nobody's going to whoop Jon Stewart's tail. That's not what I'm getting at. But I'm not getting at somebody should show up to his studio and whoop his butt. But at the same time, if you're going to report on things and be that accurate, in a lot of ways, you should be reprimanded because there are people who do take this craft, which is what you guys are talking about, very seriously. And that when they do misreport on this, boy, we chastise them real good. And just to make a parody of it and be like, well, I'm joking, but yeah, I know I was wrong. It's an insult to the institution of reporting political information.
Here's a tag on it. Don't you think that somebody coming in and whooping him in his studio, that would probably make him rethink what he was doing real quick?
Right, yeah. But the reality of it is the world doesn't work like that. And like I said, I know that was, like I'm mentioning earlier, that's in the confinements of a locker room. But that's where things lead when I'm joking around. And that's cool. You just know you're going down with the ship joking around.
But that's the thing, though, too. It's like all society is predicated on the threat of violence. Like, the reason we live civilly is because the threat of violence is always there. It's like why you don't come in and, like, you don't go walk into the gym like what Bill Burr said. It's like walk into the gym, you see the biggest guy in there, he's drinking, you're like, oh, what you got there? A protein shake? Knocking out his hand. You're like, you think you're tough, guy? It's like,
tail whoop.
Yeah, I mean, that will happen. Like, it's all civil society is predicated on the threat of violence.
Right. No, I'm okay with that kind of violence in that sense because it's it puts an end to negative promoting a negative work environment or a negative culture because I think in that regard you should have a zero tolerance policy to that because anything that's not productive or positive takes away from the factor of benefiting and pushing the needle forward instead of joking around about things. And it's okay, we'll joke around about it. I'll meet you out back.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Not wrong.
Yeah.
So that's where we're at with the state of media in journalism right now. You have, and this is just the one guy, this Yuri Berliner that quit NPR. He's the one that has enough integrity to leave and say and comment about, this is not a good news journal organization. How many people are there who wouldn't say that? How many people you think are going to come out and write articles about Yuri Berliner is a right-wing conspiracy theorist, and there's going to be a ton of counter information being put out going, this guy is garbage. He's lying. But again, I also still can't. I'm not going to hold this guy without fault. He was there for how long? We've known that this has been going on since 2016, and he stayed there, collected that paycheck, and took the money and still edited these articles and put them out. It's like, dude, you could have been whistleblowing this as early as 2016.
It does suck though because you're right. He could have been fighting the good fight is basically what you're saying. But it takes somebody very well established and who has been in it for a long time for them to confidently walk away and know that they're still going to be okay financially. They could probably still find another career path doing the same sort of thing. And that's where, going back to what we said earlier, those big multi-million media dollar conglomerates get those people sucked up in on the people who can't afford to step away.
Yeah. Well, but I mean, that's the thing though, man. If people would just have more integrity and just walk away when their ethics and morals were questioned, this crap wouldn't happen to us. But like I said, the problem with the society we live in, we always have those people be like, oh yeah, I'll take the money. I'll say whatever you want me to say. I don't care. Like we need more. We need to somehow. We need, again. I say this all the time. We have to return to Christ. We have to return to morality. If we can't be bought and paid for by somebody going, hey, I'll give you $100,000 a year, and your kids will never go. Remember that scenario that Constantine said from Trigger? If there was a button you could press, and all you said, your kids will live a good life. They will always be fed. They'll never be hungry, and you'll be able to keep a roof over their head. There's not a parent alive who wouldn't break their hand pushing that button.
Right.
And somebody like a wealthy organization like NPR is like, yeah, here's a $200K a year salary to be the primary editor. All you got to do is publish the articles we tell you to.
They're doing it.
But I said, if we had more people who were like, I can't do it, I will not suffer my integrity, there would be more people going, wow, thank you for doing that. And then a business model like NPR would collapse overnight. And they'd be like, wow, we can't report bullcrap. We have to actually put out the truth.
Yeah.
So that's the thing. Don't sell your integrity. It's the same thing as OnlyFans. It's like working at NPR is the same thing as being on OnlyFans. Don't sacrifice your integrity for a paycheck. Again, but the problem is we all look at it this way. We all look at it through the narrow lens of, well, if I don't do it, they're going to pay somebody else this salary who's willing to do it.
I don't think that you're going to be able to stop that. As much as, I mean, even though you can diagnose a problem and we can figure out how to stop world hunger, if you will, doesn't mean we supply the whole world with food. Everybody's going to be able to, eat it. And I don't mean quite literally world hunger. I'm just saying, for an example, just because you can solve a problem doesn't mean, and we have the answers to a problem, that people are going to follow through on there, and they never will.
Yeah, it's a catch-22. It's a catch-22. Like, if you dangled, it's like that's why the OnlyFans comparison is so good for these journalists or anybody taking a job that they're asked to sacrifice their integrity. It's like you tell a pretty young 18-year-old girl, you don't have to work hard. All you got to do is make a couple videos, and the guys will pay you. You'll get $9 million a year just to sit in your room and look pretty.
Yeah.
How nice would that be? But then, like I said, when you go out and you try to find a husband and somebody's going to take you seriously in life, it's like, now it's really hard. How come nobody likes me? It's like they'll hook up with you, but they don't want to take you home to meet mom.
No, or you're not going to get a serious job. More importantly, if we found out you were flashing your yoo-hoos all over the internet, now you're not going to get a.
But with this journalist stuff, it's like, why is Joe Rogan so popular? Because Joe Rogan gives you his unfiltered opinion about stuff, and he reads the news. He takes it in, and then he repeats what his feelings are about it. It's like, that's why he's blown up. That's why he's probably one of the richest men in podcasting right now.
Oh, yeah.
Because he doesn't, and everybody trusts that he's giving his unfiltered opinion. Imagine if this guy, you're even like, came out a long time ago, started his own journalism company, and like, now you own your own company, and now you're editing articles that you feel are true and are reporting the news in a way that you think has some integrity to that.
Yeah, he would have been in a better position right now.
He would have been in a much better position. But then again, a lot of people always are worried about, I don't have the capital to do this. I don't know how I would get a loan about it. It's like, you've been in the journalism industry for at least 10 years. Like, what do you mean you don't know how to do it?
Yeah, the biggest thing about being a journalist, and I did sports information for my first 3 years out of college, and what I learned is that you're the mouthpiece of the organization, and I merely publicize sports content, right, and sports journalism thing. But you're the mouthpiece of the entire institution. You're the doormat of the front door. And most people don't view themselves as that, though. They view that as a job that they got, and that's what they're doing. They're working. And eventually, if you work it long enough, like this guy you're talking about, he realizes the impact of his position, and he doesn't want to continue to promote a message that is influential in behavior that he doesn't agree with.
You're right. It's just at some point, you're just, especially when you're coming into an organization, you're just tickled pink to have a job.
Right.
You're like, hey, man, I did it. I got a career. You know, it's like, this is cool. Now, I don't know how long I'll be here, but... So that's the thing. We're dancing that fine line with integrity and holding down a job. But I would always say, don't sacrifice your integrity. But I realize it, man. It's a tough decision to make when you got kids to feed. You got to keep a roof over their heads.
You got to pay a mortgage.
So it's a lot. If we become a slave, the things we own end up owning us.
Yeah.
Like what they say in Fight Club. Brad Pitt said in Fight Club, you know.
By the way, you don't got to pay your mortgage. You can just get foreclosed out there, everybody.
Yeah, just start squatting. Squatters' rights, baby.
I'm just playing. Pay your bills, please.
Yeah. I mean, squatters have more rights than homeowners. I mean, that's kind of the way, at least in some
Dude,
states.
have you seen the guy who pulled to squatting? So, dude, you'll have to look it up. I can't remember the dude's name. It's really cool. Anyways, same situation. Guy's mom owned a house, right?
Mm-hmm.
Had a problem getting the squatters out. Didn't get the squatters out.
Mm-hmm.
Well, found out whenever they were leaving to go do something.
Mm-hmm.
Then he legally went in and started squatting with them.
Yeah.
Oh yes, we saw this.
Started squatting with them. I'm like, dude, this dude's a genius. He's like, and I was a
He'd be like crapping on the floor right next to him while they were
I just
sleeping.
thought, dude, and he's in his mom's house doing it.
Yeah.
They ran him out.
Yeah.
Genius. Of course, you got to have I mean, he was an older guy. I'm sure he's retired. I mean, he seemed like he was 60 or so.
So squatting on the squatters,
His
huh?
mom had to have been like 90 or something.
I'm quitting this podcast right now. I'm going to start squatting with squatters.
Let's go to Dad's lake house and start squatting.
What a show that you could market that show. Like squatting with squatters.
Squatting on the squat.
That's
You'd have gray hair after a week.
oh man, that's ridiculous. But yeah. So we'll push on to the final thing, and this is again another media topic, but the media, the mainstream media, is currently trying to manufacture George Floyd 2.0. So if you haven't seen or you haven't heard, there is a young man by the name of Dexter Reed who was shot 94 times by the police.
No, 94 rounds were discharged. He wasn't necessarily shot.
Yeah, so 94 rounds were
Say, that
discharged
man's
into his
like
vehicle.
Swiss cheese, if that was the case.
Yeah. So they're trying to make this guy out to be the next George Floyd 2.0. Okay. Now, again, I disagree with how they portrayed George Floyd in the media. He is not the saint that they made him out to be. He was a porn star, drug addict person. He was killed by fentanyl, not by the police. He was a victim of his own horrible life choices, in my opinion. But this new guy, this Dexter Reed guy that they're trying to play out to be sympathetic, if you've even watched the police footage, there's not even a comparison that can be made. They're trying to gin this guy up and gin this George Floyd 2.0 situation up before the next election so Biden can kind of rally his voter base back to him.
Well, he's also wanting I believe the riots to start back up.
Yeah, so he can
to
maybe
get
declare
the
martial
BLM,
law or something.
Yeah, to get the BLM protesters all up in arms.
Wanting a
again.
race war.
Yeah, but here's the thing. This is not comparable to the George Floyd situation. There's no cops kneeling on backs. This kid ignored police instructions. He was sitting in a car. They pulled him over because his windows were too tinted. And whatever city he lived in,
That's illegal.
tinted windows are illegal. So they
past a certain percentage.
It's Chicago.
It's Chicago.
It's
So
Chicago.
Chicago, it's legal to have tinted windows. So they pulled him over. There was about 6 or 7 police officers in this scenario. They pulled over his car, and as they walk up to him, like they go, they weren't even uniformed police officers. They were wearing uniforms. They had the freaking camera. They had the footage. Literally the thumbnail of this video is the footage of the officer's
Body cam
camera. And as they go up to him, they go, "Sir, I'm gonna need you to keep your window rolled down." What does he start doing? Immediately rolls up his window. And as his window's going up, they keep yelling at him, "Sir, you need to get your car." So they start trying to open the doors of his car to get in there. And guess what happens? Gunshots are fired at the police. So they don't tell the CNN articles and all the MSN articles, the mainstream media news. They don't have that he shot at the police until the very last paragraph.
No, of course.
He started the gunfight. It was like bang, 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 9 shots fired at police, and then all of a sudden the police are going shots fired, shots fired. They all run away from the car, and then bang, 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 94 shots in the vehicle. A police officer was hit. How can anyone argue in this guy's favor saying that? I guess the only thing you can say, if you know anything about the situation, is they shouldn't have pulled him over. But he had already committed a crime by tinting his windows. And even if his mom was saying he just bought that car like 4 days ago, well, whoever sold him the car should be held liable too for not having untinted the windows.
I think that clearly, well, I better word this correctly here.
Yeah, carefully.
I'm going to word this very carefully. I think that there should be, if you truly fear law enforcement to the degree that certain people do, which there's no need for, but if you do, then I think that you and anybody else who thinks like you should get together and formulate a class that allows you to realize how to behave when you're being pulled over. Because if you don't realize how to do that, then you're going to continue to find yourself in situations where you're acting irrational and going to basically incite a police officer to rebuttal back in ways that's going to defend not only himself, but the entire force that he's with, and his partner and his buddy. So it's got nothing to do with the people who are stopping crime out there. It's got to do with the people who are, and if you're doing nothing wrong, there's no reason for you to fear anything anyways. And if you are doing something wrong, this is your time to be honest about it, because I know it's crazy. It's crazy, guys. It's nuts. Cooperation gets you a lot further than what you would if you didn't. Being honest. Being honest with somebody. Yeah, I got weed in the car. Yeah, I got a gun in the back seat, dude.
Yep.
Yeah, I got stuff illegal, dude. I got warrants out for me, man. I hate to say it.
If you think the police officer is acting unreasonably, you comply with all of his demands and you ask for a badge number. And you try to get it handled in civil court afterwards.
Right. And you can say, I'd like to talk to my lawyer. You have the right. I know this is crazy. Silent. You have in Miranda rights. You have the right to remain silent, and they'll give you an attorney if you don't. They'll provide you with one if you don't have one. It's crazy. You should know your rights, people.
Well, then getting on to back to what we were talking about with this is. Then the media even goes to use like his graduation photos. To making him look super
social manipulation. Yeah.
Whereas.
That's not the correct depiction of this guy.
Exactly.
If you will. Yeah.
If you open fire on the police when when all they're doing is pulling you over, you're the bad guy.
Yeah.
This Dexter Reed has a rap sheet.
Yeah.
It's a pretty significant rap sheet too.
Yeah,
But if you do not comply with the police, what do you expect is going to happen? You think they're going to be like, well, thank you for not complying. Have a great day.
Like I said, certain people just need educated on how to deal with law enforcement, because it's been such a big buildup in wherever their culture they live in is how to defy authority, which should never be even taught within cultures. Defy authority.
Mm-hmm.
Like, how does that make any sort of sense? A guy who's here to quite literally on the side of the vehicle it says protect and serve. So that's the person we're defying. Let's think about your intention. Let's think about your perception of what you're going through. It's probably skewed, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So, and those people, they just need to get together and be informed, which will probably never happen. But
yeah, well, there just has to be a culture change in these communities that are so afraid of the police. It's like, don't be afraid of them. Just cooperate with them, and they're just people like you and me. The only difference is they wear a badge and they carry a gun to protect and serve our communities from criminals. I said the only thing you should be afraid of for the police for is if you are a criminal. So, and again, the most important part of this story is the media trying to whip up and gin up another George Floyd 2.0 scenario. It's like, this is not that. Not even close. Not by a long shot. This guy fired at police. He did not comply with the police. An officer was shot. So what are we talking about here? What is the media? This shows how evil the media is, how dangerous of an organization they are. They are crafting this narrative. Remember, narrative over facts. That's what matters in the mainstream media. They want to sell you this narrative that the police are coming for black people and that they're out there hunting them. That is not the case. That Harvard professor put out that study. There are zero discrepancies between racial shootings. White people, black people, Asian people, Hispanic people are all shot at the exact same rates by police. Criminality is the only factor that factors into police shootings. Now, I will say this on behest of black people. The guy or the Harvard professor that did the study did say that black people were police initiated physical force against black people the quickest. Now, is there a reason for that? Maybe it has to do with the communities that they did that in. However, that's one thing that you could be concerned about as a black person in this country. You could be like, hey, the police are more likely to become physical with me before, but that's more reason to comply. It's like, look, just, hey, yep, give me your badge number if you think they're doing something bad, and handle it civil court later. You might not win, but at least, and that's the thing. So many people are like, we can't, don't file the claim. Don't try to take it to court. Do it, because that case you brought up against that particular officer follows him forever. It's like, Officer Mark Johnson, there are 26 civil cases filed against you for initiating unnecessary force. You won all of them, but this seems to be a recurring pattern.
Where there's smoke, there's probably fire.
So eventually, you might personally not get justice, but that will follow him and his career forever. If you think you're being discriminated against
Unfairly.
Yeah.
So, Roland Fryer is the Harvard professor that discovered that there was no disparity in police shootings.
He did again. There are discrepancies between physical force initiated against the black community, and I'm giving you that W right there. But I'm not giving you the black people are shot left and right in this country. I'm not giving you that because according to this Harvard professor, who is a black fella, he says there is no racial discriminations or racial disparities between police shootings. Period. That is the truth. Every time people say, you know how many unarmed black men were shot in 2017? It was 9, right?
Yeah.
9. And that doesn't tell you that they were unarmed. It doesn't mean, when they say unarmed, that doesn't mean they weren't being violent.
Yeah, exactly.
It just means that they didn't have a gun.
Or a knife.
So keep that in mind, everyone. We are being manipulated by the media. You're being manipulated every day. And don't fall into the just believing the narrative and toeing the line. Don't be a toe the line person. Think for yourself, think rationally, think independently. Come to your own conclusions. Don't just trust anything you hear. Because it's like what Denzel Washington said. I love this quote. Love this quote by Denzel Washington. He said, if you don't read the news, you're uninformed. If you read the news, you're misinformed. That's what I was talking about yesterday, everyone. What the media choose to report on forms our worldview. What they choose not to report on is just as important and keeps us in the dark about super important issues.
Oh, yeah.
Not wrong. Not wrong. The only other thing I guess we could kind of end on a more upscale note is O.J. Simpson.
I can't handle how you
away.
said upscale.
Well, I mean, it could be downscale for O.J., but
It's downscale for O.J., but
I just have that picture of OJ running across the airport terminal in the Hertz commercial right now. He did.
oh my gosh. But yeah, so OJ is no longer with us. So
passed away at 76 years old from a battle of cancer. And yeah.
Goodbye, Juice Man.
Goodbye, Juice.
yeah, Juice is gone, man. And
if I were going to write a book, I'd write it about how I would do it if I did it. Can't believe he published that book.
Dude, I love Dave Chappelle's skits about they're like, oh, he didn't do it. And then the longer Dave Chappelle lives, the more it's like, man, that man did that.
He did it.
He did it. He goes, how'd he get back in the room? He was up in the front row in the audience in my stand-up show, and he somehow made his way back to the back room before I got off stage. He's like, he did that.
You're freaking him out. If the glove doesn't fit, you must have quit. Johnny Cochran.
I forgot about that. What a legendary line, man. That's that's going to show you the media coverage that they were performing. It wasn't a trial. It was a performance.
Yeah, I think I'm going to get on 169 today and have me a chase just like OJ and the Bronco. Why did you not? The guns are drawn on me. Why did you not pull over? OJ died today, boys.
It's the juice.
Put your guns down. Yeah, that's worth a cop chase.
That's worthy of a cop chase.
Yeah.
But yeah, so in honor of OJ, you should go and get on YouTube today at some point once you get to work or when you're at a safe place and pull up Norm Macdonald's compilation of O.J. Simpson jokes. In honor of O.J. and in honor of Norm, just watch all those his compilation of O.J. Simpson jokes on SNL.
Fast.
Yeah, Norm passed away a few years back.
Yeah.
But yeah, so do it for Norm, do it for O.J. Watch his SNL O.J. Simpson jokes. There are some fantastic compilations of him just roasting O.J. It was awesome. It's peak Norm Macdonald, peak comedy, man. So that's about all we've got for you today. We ran a little bit long today, but we were having a lot of fun. So I just want to say thank y'all for watching. This is the Twins with the Owasso Live with our co-host Drake here. This was The Morning Loop. Be sure to like, share, and subscribe.
Follow Cold Beers and White Tails. We will be starting our sports show together here pretty quick, too. So if you guys be checking that out, I'll post links to that as well.
I'm sure the twins will plug it up in here and put links to it, and it'll be good. If you like sports, follow. We're going to have some fun on that.
Plug it up. Would you hear that from like a teenager or something?
You don't want to know where I heard that.
But anyway, I hope everyone has a wonderful day. Remember to like, share, and subscribe so you too can stay in the loop. God bless y'all.
See you later, everybody.